I can truly feel energy when I practice magic. But I wonder, is that just my imagination? Or is there something measurable happening? What exactly is this energy we're working with?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 7, which is the beginning of season 2 for the Synapse and Shadow podcast. I'm Tegan Lleuad, and today we're exploring the science and magic of working with energy, the fundamental force that permeates every cell in your body, every thought in your mind, and the very intention in your magical practice. That mysterious flow we feel during ritual or meditation, the subtle vibration that seems to connect everything from the smallest particle to the farthest star. Today, we're exploring what happens when we recognize that everything in existence consists of energy in various forms and frequencies. In psychological practice, working with energy means understanding the neurological and emotional currents that flow through our bodies and minds, the biochemical processes that translate thought into physical sensation and back again. In magical practice, energy work forms the foundation of virtually every technique, from grounding and shielding to spellcraft and manifestation. It's the medium through which intention becomes reality. When we bring these perspectives together with quantum physics, we discover that these seemingly separate understandings are describing the same fundamental reality, just from different vantage points. So let's get started. So, what is universal energy? The Taoists call it qi, Hindus call it prana, George Lucas called it the Force, but no matter what label you choose, the cosmic energy is omnipresent and pervasive. It permeates every cell in your body and the cells of everything around you, and this is scientific fact. The energy is there at a subatomic level of everything that exists, including you and me and the farthest star out in the galaxy. To truly understand this energy from a scientific perspective, we need to examine what we mean by energy itself. In physics, energy is defined as the capacity to do work, to create change in a system. It takes many forms: kinetic energy of motion, potential energy of position, thermal energy of heat, and the electromagnetic energy of light. At the quantum level, energy behaves according to precise mathematical relationships between frequency, amplitude, and wavelength. When we speak of frequency, we're talking about how many oscillations or cycles occur within a given time period. Essentially, this is how many times something vibrates back and forth, like how many times a pendulum swings per minute, or waves crash onto the shore each hour. Amplitude refers to the maximum displacement or intensity of these oscillations. Simply put, how big or powerful those vibrations are, like the height of an ocean wave, or how far a guitar string moves when strongly plucked versus gently strummed. Together, these properties determine how energy manifests and interacts with other energy patterns, including those that make up our bodies and consciousness. In order to describe how this energy exists throughout everything, I always use an example that I adapted from Itzhak Bentov's theory of the supermicroscope. And it goes like this. Take a look at the back of your hand. What do you see? Skin, maybe a freckle or two. Now imagine your hand under a microscope. This is a super microscope that will allow us to magnify down to the subatomic level. At the first level, we see our skin cells organized in an orderly fashion. We see the cell walls tightly clinging to each other in order to create the waterproof barrier that protects us. When we magnify further to the cellular level, you see some pretty weird shapes floating around in a liquid type substance. These are things like endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, the Golgi apparatus, ribosomes, all of those $25 words that we were forced to memorize in biology class. They're all floating around in the cytoplasm, and they're going about their business, performing their individual functions to sustain the cells, provide energy and reproduction in the cells, and in a larger scope, they're sustaining our bodies. Now, when we zoom in much, much, much further, millions of times further, to the atomic level, we can see the millions of atoms that make up the millions of molecules that comprise these cells in our bodies. Each of these atoms looks like a tiny universe spiraling inside of us. Electron planets orbit around their sun-like nuclei. Each nucleus is made up of protons and neutrons dancing to a beat that's only known to them. But what is all of that floating in? Nothing. They're suspended in what appears to be empty space, but that space is not empty. It is here that the cosmic energy flows at the basic subatomic level of every cell in the universe. This empty space that quantum physicists study actually contains what we call the quantum field, a seething ocean of potential energy that permeates everything. Scientists at institutions like CERN have demonstrated that this quantum vacuum is far from empty. It's filled with virtual particles that constantly pop in and out of existence, creating a background energy field that exists everywhere in the universe. What's particularly fascinating is how this quantum understanding aligns with ancient traditions across cultures. The Chinese concept of qi flowing through meridians, the Hindu understanding of prana moving through the nadis, the indigenous recognition of spirit energy connecting all living things. These are all describing the same fundamental reality that quantum physics now measures with incredible precision. Whether it's you, any other human, animal, rock or tree, or even a drop of water, there is the energy, pulsing, swirling, and connecting us to everything that exists. That is the divine energy of the universe. Now let's explore one of the most accessible ways we experience this universal energy, through light and color. What we perceive as visible light is actually just a tiny slice of the vast electromagnetic spectrum. Each color we see corresponds to a specific frequency of energy vibration. When we work with color in magical practice, we're actually working with different energy frequencies. Blue light, for instance, vibrates at approximately 650 trillion cycles per second, while red light vibrates at about 430 trillion cycles per second. These aren't just aesthetic differences, they're energetic ones. Each color carries its own photon energy, with violet and blue possessing higher energy photons than red and orange. This is why blue light affects our circadian rhythms more strongly than red light. The higher energy blue photons trigger specific photoreceptors in our retinas that regulate melatonin production. When you choose a blue candle for calm or visualize blue light during meditation, you're actually working with a specific energy frequency that has measurable effects on your neurological and physiological systems. The energy of photons follows the Planck-Einstein relation, which is energy equals h times frequency, where h represents Planck's constant. And you may remember Max Planck from episode 3. But all of this means that energy of light particles directly correlates with their frequency. In simpler terms, the higher the frequency or faster the vibration, the more powerful or energetic the light is. This is why ultraviolet light can damage skin cells where visible light doesn't, and why gamma rays, which have extremely high frequencies, can penetrate materials that block other forms of light. Higher frequency means more energy packed into each particle of light. This isn't mystical thinking, it's established quantum physics. What's very interesting is how traditional color correspondences in magical practice align with these scientific realities. Red, traditionally associated with our root chakra, with vitality, passion, and physical energy. It has the longest wavelength and lowest frequency of visible light, making it ideal for working with material concern, whereas violet, associated with spiritual awareness and psychic development, has the shortest wavelength and highest frequency, aligning perfectly with its traditional use for transcendent work. Beyond the visible spectrum lies even more energy with specific properties. Infrared radiation, with wavelengths longer than red light, manifests as heat, the energy we feel radiating from a magical flame or a warm stone. Ultraviolet light, with wavelengths shorter than violet, creates chemical changes in matter, just as exposure to sunlight changes our skin or fades the colors in book covers, artwork, and ritual materials over time. When we understand that colors are literally different energy frequencies, our use of colored candles, crystals, or visualizations in energy work takes on a new significance. We're not just working with symbolic associations, but with actual energetic properties that interact with our own energy field in specific, measurable ways. The next time you select a crystal by color or choose a specific candle for spell work, remember that you're working with precise energy frequencies that physicists can measure and magical practitioners can sense. The science and magic are describing the same reality. And all of this energy responds to only one thing, and that is emotion. When we connect to that energy and the source of that energy on the astral plane, we can create whatever we want on the physical plane. This is how we make real magic. From a neuropsychological perspective, emotions create distinct electrical and chemical patterns in our brains and our bodies. Feelings of joy, fear, love, or anger generate measurable changes in our brain waves, heart rhythms, and hormonal cascades. These aren't just subjective experiences that we feel. They're physical energy states that can be measured with instruments like EEG, ECG, and thermal imaging. Research from the Heart Math Institute has demonstrated that the heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet from the body and changes dramatically with emotional states. We've spoken about this in prior episodes. The field is approximately 100 times stronger than the electromagnetic field produced by the brain and can actually be detected by the nervous systems of people around us. When we experience strong emotions during ritual or spell work, we're literally altering the electromagnetic field surrounding our bodies. This explains why emotional clarity and intensity are so crucial to effective magic practice. The stronger and more coherent our emotional state, the stronger and more coherent the energetic field we generate. Conflicted emotions create conflicted energy patterns, while focused emotions create focused effects. When quantum physics describes how observer attention affects particle behavior, we're seeing scientific validation of what magical practitioners have known for centuries. Our consciousness interacts with energy. That double slit experiment that we have talked about ad nauseum shows that the mere act of observation changes how particles behave at the quantum level. Similarly, our focused emotional attention changes how energy responds in magical practice. And this is precisely why spellcraft emphasizes emotional investment rather than just intellectual understanding. You can recite a perfect incantation with perfect ingredients, but without emotional energy behind it, the effect will be minimal. Conversely, even simple techniques performed with intense emotional focus can produce powerful results. The tools of magical practice, our candles, our incense, our ritual movements, help us focus and direct this consciousness with intention. They create ideal conditions for generating, focusing, and directing emotional energy. They don't do the magic themselves. They amplify and shape the energy we generate through our emotional states. When we talk about spellcraft, what color candles to use, what type of incense to burn, and when is the best time to perform a spell to achieve our results, it's important to remember that these things are only tools that we use. They are there to help us, to lend their energies to help us reach our goals. But these things in themselves are not magical. It is their inherent energies that make them magical. And we use our intent, our will, and our emotions to integrate those energies with our own. We then shape it and direct it in a way that brings about a desired outcome. Now that we understand the nature of energy and how our emotions activate it, let's explore practical techniques for working with energy in both magical and therapeutic contexts. First, let's acknowledge that you don't have to perform an elaborate spell to utilize divine energy. It is always there and always working. And this is where the law of attraction kicks in. The quantum field responds to focused attention and emotional resonance regardless of formal ritual structures. This explains why spontaneous magical effects can occur during intense emotional states, even without conscious magical intent. However, structured techniques can help us develop greater sensitivity to energy and more precise control over its direction. Let's explore a technique for creating an energy circuit within your own field. And so you would sit or stand comfortably with your spine straight and your feet flat on the ground. Close your eyes and take 3 deep, slow breaths. Place your dominant hand over your heart center and your non-dominant hand at your solar plexus. You would then visualize energy as a glowing light or a warmth gathering at your heart. After about 30 seconds, begin to feel this energy flowing down your dominant arm and guide this energy through your body to your solar plexus, where your other hand rests. Now, instead of stopping, allow the energy to continue flowing up your non-dominant arm into your solar plexus. And then you complete the circuit by feeling the energy return to your heart center. Maintain this circular flow for 1 to 2 minutes, noticing any sensations, changes in the temperature, a tingling, a pulsing, or a pressure. With practice, you can increase the speed and intensify the energy circuit. What you're feeling is not imagination. It's your body's bioelectric field, the same field that scientific instruments can measure. With practice, you can learn to sense variations in this field, distinguish between different energy frequencies, and eventually manipulate these energies with intention. Now, as you become comfortable with this basic circuit, you can gradually expand it to include more of your energy centers or chakras. Eventually, you'll be able to direct energy in a complete circuit from your crown chakra at the top of your head down through each chakra to your root at the base of your spine and then back up again. This full body energy circulation is not only powerful for energy work, but it's also excellent preparation for more advanced practices like astral projection and conscious dream work, where maintaining awareness of your energy body becomes crucial for successful exploration beyond the physical realm. But as we have discussed before, you can't rush it and don't push yourself. Energy work can become intense, and I cannot repeat too often that you are working with real energy that affects you physically. Now, for those working with clients or performing energy healing, remember that what you're doing has measurable effects. Studies on therapeutic touch and energy healing have demonstrated changes in wound healing rates, immune function, and stress hormone levels. These effects occur whether or not the recipient believes in the technique, just as photosynthesis works whether or not the plant believes in sunlight. From a quantum perspective, you're creating coherence in disordered energy patterns. Just as a laser creates coherent light waves that all vibrate in phase with each other, your focused intention creates coherent energy patterns that can affect biological systems through resonance and entrainment. When working with tools like crystals, understand that their molecular structure creates specific energy signatures. For instance, silicon dioxide crystals, like our regular common quartz, have piezoelectric properties. They generate measurable electrical charges when mechanical pressure is applied. Different crystal structures resonate with different frequencies, explaining their varied effects in energy work. But always remember, the most powerful energy manipulation tool is your own consciousness focused through emotional resonance. The tools amplify and direct what you already possess. So now, let's bring everything together into a unified understanding of energy work that bridges science, psychology, and magical practice. When we recognize that consciousness interacts with the quantum field, that emotions generate measurable electromagnetic patterns, and that the resonant frequencies affect biological systems, energy work becomes less mysterious and more methodical, not eliminating the wonder, but grounding it in the actual physics of our interconnected universe. This perspective helps explain why some aspects of magical practice work better at certain times or under certain conditions. The moon's gravitational field affects Earth's electromagnetic field, which in turn can influence our own bioelectric systems. Solar flares create measurable changes in Earth's magnetosphere that correlate with changes in human brainwave patterns. These aren't superstitions, they're scientific realities that magical practitioners have recognized through experience. We don't live in a vacuum. No man is an island. Everything in the universe is connected and has an effect on everything else in the universe. Now, in your daily practice, try incorporating this knowledge by number one, matching your emotional state to your magical intent. Generate the feeling of your desired outcome. Number two, work with colors that resonate with the appropriate energy frequency for your purpose. Number three, use tools not as magical objects themselves, but as frequency amplifiers for your own energy. Number four, document your energy work with attention to environmental conditions like lunar phases, geomagnetic activity, and your own biorhythms. Number five, develop your sensitivity to subtle energy through regular practice and feedback. Remember that energy work is not separate from physical reality. It's interacting with the same forces that physicists study and measure. The difference is that you're working with these forces through the interface of consciousness rather than mechanical instruments. This understanding forms the foundation for everything we'll explore in our upcoming season on the Hermetic laws, ancient principles that describe the same fundamental reality that quantum physics is now rediscovering. The energy we've discussed today is the medium through which all these universal laws operate, the substrate of everything that exists. As we close, remember, energy you feel during practice isn't imagination. It's the fundamental force of existence, measurable by science, accessible through emotion, and transformable through focused intention. You're not creating it. You're learning to sense, direct, and harmonize with what already permeates every atom of your being. So let's return to our opening question. Is the energy we feel during magical practice real or just imagination? The answer is profoundly simple. It's as real as light, as real as electricity, as real as the atomic forces holding your body together. The scientific instruments that measure these forces are just external versions of the sensitivity you're developing through practice. Whether you approach energy work through the lens of physics, psychology, or magical tradition, you're exploring the same fundamental reality. Just as a musician, a mathematician, and a sound engineer might all describe the same musical note in different but complementary ways. As you continue your energy work practice, I encourage you to maintain both the wonder of magical tradition and the precision of scientific understanding. They are not opposing viewpoints. They're complementary perspectives on the miraculous reality we live in. On our next episode, we will begin our exploration of the Hermetic laws, starting with the principle of mentalism, where thoughts create reality. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep dancing between worlds.